Morning, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm very delighted to be here talking to you today. I am representing a UK university. I am from the UK, but I'd like to keep the international flavour going by admitting to you that I was born in Zimbabwe, so maybe we can keep the international flavour going there. My talk is about technology, but I'd like to be honest and upfront with you that I am not a technology expert. I have no desire to be. I don't think I would have the skills to be, and it's not a latent desire of mine. But I think in my role as Head of Online Learning at the University of Derby, I have a responsibility to know that what is going on in the technology landscape and how it's going to affect the educational landscape going forward. I think that when we set up our University of Derby Online, one of the things that we were very focused on was on the student learning experience, and we've heard a lot about that today, and we've heard that from Paul LeBlanc. And as we look at setting up the University of Derby Online, we kept the student at the heart of the experience, and technology is a tool for how we engage with our students going forward. I'd like, therefore, to look at some trends in technology. Obviously, I can't go through every technology that's available currently because there is a technological revolution going on, and that would not be possible. But I would like to focus on a few that I think will impact on education going forward. But first of all, I'd like to take a look at how our pedagogic model has been around for some time now. This looks a familiar sight to all of us, I would think. It's a lecture going on. Clearly, there's an instructor at the front of the class. There's the pupils at the front with their tablets, their writing tablets as it was then. And this is from an old manuscript from the University of Bologna. It's from 1340. But does it look any different to how we see the university of today? I think the image still holds true. This is the University of Derby, and here's some of our shots of our classrooms taken only a few months ago. You will see the style, the model, the setup is the same. Nowhere in any sector of industry or business would you still see a model that's held true. There are some good aspects of lecturing. It's been an important part of education, but I would say that we need to move forward. The only bit that's different is that we've got the OHPs at the front of the classroom there. So a view of mine is that there has been more change in pedagogy in the past few years than there has been in the last 1,000 years. But there's even greater opportunity for further change going forward. What we have to do is be ready to embrace it. So what's been the driver of that pedagogy and that change? And the driver has been the pace of technology. It's impressive to look here at all of the new technologies and the software developments and the tools that have come into place over the last decade alone. And what's more impressive or fascinating to me is how pervasive these are now in everyday life. Everybody keeps in touch with their friends through Facebook. We don't ring each other anymore, and it's immediate. Rosemary is a true example of that currently, looking at her Facebook. We need to stay, sorry Rosemary, we need to stay connected, it seems, and we want real life, real-time feedback and engagement. We have professional links through LinkedIn, and all of these things continue to be part of our daily lives, and therefore we need to look at how they will affect the agenda for education going forward. 2 billion people have now used the internet. There's over 120 million people per hour that are engaging with Google. Over 200 million are on Twitter. So YouTube, 2 billion views. 2 billion, that's almost double the size of India. So these have been phenomenon, and we've got to look at how we're going to use these going forward. And if we're ever in doubt about the fact that a technological revolution is occurring, we need to look at that pace of change and the impact. It took 38 years when the radio was introduced to get to 50 million users. It took 13 years to get to 50 million users for television, but it's only taken 5 years to get to 50 million for the internet. And now we've just seen a figure that's suggesting that we're now at 2 billion. But it's not only the pace of change, it's the fact that people need to be connected all of the time. So in 60 seconds on the internet, every minute, 700,000 Facebook status updates occur. We send out, let me put my glasses on, 168 million emails. We have downloads of music, 13,000 per minute. So it's not only that there's this pace taking place, we have to stay connected all of the time. So how is this social media? What are the students doing, and how can that impact on learning? Students are finding things out through the internet. They're going on Google, they're going social web and other tools. They're keeping up to date. They're building a trusted network with people out there who are doing similar jobs to them or who they can get information from. Twitter is a way that we follow what's happening in a particular area or subject. They want to communicate effectively, talking to people. I'm always amazed that I can talk to people in Malaysia on my Skype, just take account of the difference in the time zone. It's free, and I can see the person, and that is important in business and communication. We can share resources and ideas, and I think, we upload a picture. I'm pretty sure now that somebody would have taken a picture here today that's already doing the rounds and being passed on to friends and colleagues, and that allows us to collaborate effectively. So all of the skills and competencies that have been talked about earlier, this is how that the people of the future and now are looking to do that through social media. The World Digital Economy takes that one step further and says that the use of IT and telecommunications within education is set to increase dramatically between now and 2016. So whatever is happening now is set to increase at a significant pace. I'd just like to focus on for a minute then a few of these technologies that I think are going to be very important going forward. 4G. Let's get into the language, shall we? What does it mean? It's the fourth generation of wireless mobile devices, your tablets, your mobile, that can connect to the internet constantly and be there wherever you are. So what's 4G going to do that's going to be any different? It's going to be faster and it's going to be more effective. Before that, we relied on desktops to get those high-speed connections, and to have that desktop, you needed to be plugged in. So you need to be somewhere where there was an internet connection. But now with 4G, you can be anywhere, any place, any time. That begins to change our relationship with technology and indeed with each other, because we can communicate and be in touch even faster than we were before. Cloud. When people started talking to me about the cloud, I thought they were talking about the weather. But let's cut through the mystery of the cloud. What is it? It's about a data bank that is held somewhere else. It's about a shared service. It's about solutions and the outsourcing, potentially, of our IT departments. This is going to allow scalability and efficiencies that were hitherto not possible. So you had to build your own data bank. I'm sure you've all had your conversations with your IT directors about, our servers are down, the servers are overheating somewhere, we haven't got the right space to keep them. Through the cloud, we can now access data and information, it's stored, we can have a different relationship. So what's the benefits of cloud to education? It's scalable. So you've got a contract with somebody, you only need a few students. You pay for what you use. It's like having your own generator, but then tapping into to the network. The lower energy bills, which are all about the servers and the maintenance, etc. So universities are going to be able to tap into this and utilize this network for their own ends. It's device independent, so we don't have to be thinking about, is it Blackboard, is it a particular type of Nokia or whatever. It's device independent. Another technology will be the mobile app screens. We've already heard people talk about that. And my son, who's 12 years old, uses mobile apps for almost every part of his life. He's a footballer. He likes to download what the football information is. He likes to have fun with his friends, so he has voice recognition things that changes how his voice is. But we can get these mobile app screens. These are going to be looking at sharing information with our students. And I think they're going to make a big difference. 2012 is the year of free online elite education. Here's some organisations that have absolutely embraced free online education. Many of you will probably have heard of Salman Khan, who's a graduate of MIT and Harvard, who looked at teaching his cousin, in India. He downloaded lectures, put them on YouTube, and now there's over 100 million downloads of those lectures. So if people are offering content for free online and they're having this impact, how are we as educational organisations going to respond to that? London School of Business and Finance said that their MBA would be free online, and they had 90,000 registrations. They didn't offer the assessment, they didn't offer the tutor support, but they did offer that free online education. Stanford University put up a course, Online Artificial Intelligence. It was their first online course. The lecturer who did that has now set up separately and on his own. They have 160,000 students. And this year we see MIT launch another portfolio of free online courses. What they will do, when talking about the badging, will be charged for those certificates for completion. So these things, the 4G, the fast internet access, the mobile applications that we can use, plus the free online content that's coming in, will mean that we've got to think differently about how we operate in the future. If we look at the Gartner technology hype cycle that looks at technologies that are going to be coming in the future and maps how they are perceived, how they are used, we can see that on there are clouds, mobile applications, speech recognition, and analytics. All of the things that we see may be coming into the use for higher education. The Higher Horizon report, I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's, the report looks at key trends going forward and mobile technologies and how they will be implemented within education. So they map the 6 technologies and how they're going to come to fruition, impacting on education over the next 5-year period. For me, what's important about that study is that they look at the key trends, and that frames the technologies that then they map over that 5-year period. And these are the key trends that they've said, and these are the key trends that we've heard talked about today, that people want to be able to work, learn and study whenever and wherever they want to. So, and particularly with the mature market, they don't want to go to the university, they want the university to come to them. The technologies we are using are increasingly cloud-based. So again, the Horizon report is saying that this is the way that technology will be utilised in the future, and that notions of IT, therefore, are decentralised. The world of work is increasingly collaborative, and where you've got technologies that allow you to talk to colleagues in another country in real time, then that is going to be increasingly a factor. And that driver changes in the way that students are, projects are structured, and looks at the collaborative work that we've just heard about. The abundance of the resources and relationships made accessible via the internet is increasingly challenges to revisit our roles, and I think that's a key point that I want to make. The education paradigms are shifting. We're including online learning, hybrid learning, and collaborative models to meet our students' needs. And there's a different emphasis on that challenge. We've done a survey at the University of Derby, and the student feedback is that student wants to be challenged more. They become more engaged and involved where there is that higher challenge. And so therefore, this is something else that we need to build into that curriculum. So what are the technologies that the Horizon report is saying is going to impact, going forward? So in less than 1 year, they say that it's going to be mobile apps, that this is going to be a key communication tool for students within universities, particularly in terms of induction. How are they going to get around the campus? That all of that information can be downloaded. It can tell them where to go, where they are at any one time. It can also tell them about lectures, where lectures are to be held, give them real-time updates from their lecturers too about course readings, new course information. The tablet computer is going to give them access to content and information, and this is an area that there seems significant growth in, but how are we going to build it into our curriculum and into our offering? Within 2 to 5 years, we see that there's going to be more intuitive technologies that are being developed, so that allows that deeper learning. The game-based learning is a way that the new students have grown up with, and if we look at the games and the tools that they play with, if we can adopt them to the education environment, then this is going to allow us to get into that deeper learning. So this is what the Horizon report is saying. How many of us are aware of it? How are we embracing it? And how are we planning to take this forward? There needs to be a paradigm shift, I believe. I think there are increasing signs. If we think back to one of the first slides, the lecture theatre that was there in 1340, we haven't moved on that much. But I think the technologies that are now being employed are suggesting that we need to have a significant paradigm shift. The notion of the university being there and the students going to it has to change. I'd like to suggest a different paradigm, where the student is at the centre, the student is as mobile as we are, the student can download information from many different areas and in real time, and they can share and communicate with their fellow students around the globe. They can access information as they want it, they can get online content. How does that change our role as educators? They will engage with us when and as they see fit. That's a picture of the University of Derby there. That's one of our online learning students in the middle, and this is what they do. However, I'd like to suggest that we also guide and lead the students, that we are proactive in engaging with them, that we develop content that is going to be exciting and interesting and keep them engaged with the learning. And this is a model that I've pinched from MacArthur in the USA, who is, again, looking at this paradigm. It's called connected learning, where students have engagement with their peers, where they have real-time engagement with their content, and where they look and share information, and where they bring into this the world of work and their experience. It's confusing, isn't it? There's a lot of language, and it feels like a club that you need to be in order to understand the language. I work with very passionate academics, very passionate technologists who advise me very differently. Go with Blackboard. No, don't go with Blackboard, but go with Google. Use this collaborative tool, use another. How do we as educators cut through that? And for me, the advice is stick to what your business is. Stick to what the needs of the students are. Know what that need is. I've simplified it for me. Students want to access information, content, when and how they choose. They want to be connected both with their peers, with their colleagues, with other professional workers. So these are the things that we need to address. And they want to be engaged with the content from the universities, and therefore we have a responsibility to make sure that we look at ways of engaging with those students to keep them motivated. I thought I'd end on a nice touch. Not too long ago it was Easter. There was no birds killed in the making of this slide, I would have to say. What came first, the chicken or the egg? What came first, the technology or the need for the technology? I think now, working within education, what we need to do, it's no longer good enough for us to say that technology, we don't know anything about it, and it doesn't matter to us. I think that we need to know something about it. We don't have to be experts in it, but we do need to know how and when we can use it. We need to keep aware of what's on the landscape and what possibilities are coming in. We need to know what our students use and how they use it. We now do regular surveys with our online students at the University of Derby, and we're asking them, what equipment do they have? Are they on Facebook? The results we've just got back in say that 80% of them are using Facebook. 50% of them have a tablet, and 50%, just over, have equipment that's less than 2 years old. They are keeping up to date with the technology, and so must we. I think to do so, not to do so, would be a fault of the sector. My last piece of advice is, don't bolt on the technology, but understand the technology. Make sure that the technology is integrated and that it's going to give value back to your students. Thank you.